Well, welcome everyone to Coffee with the Kingpins. I'm very, very excited. Today, I'm going to have a one-to-one conversation with my dear friend and my beloved Kundalini yoga teacher, Anya. Anya, welcome. So nice to see you.
Oh, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, Anya, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, your passions.
Thank you. Well, I have a master's degree in counseling, and I was going to be a therapist, but my yoga career took off, and I just found that through yoga and helping people, that was my route and my love. And I like to fill my days with things that I love. So I've been blessed that I've been able to do that in this lifetime so far. And so I was originally a hatha yoga teacher, and then that led me to being a Kundalini yoga teacher. And I also, through those years of teaching full time yoga and coming up with, different ideas and different things coming to me, it came to me to teach face yoga. And so I am currently teaching face yoga with private clients and classes. And I do collage art. I'm a sound therapist, so I play crystal and alchemy bowls and the gong. And I love to be in a creative space. That's my favorite place to be.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. So with your background as a therapist, so how do you incorporate that with like teaching Kundalini yoga and you do also sound baths, right?
I do. Yes, I do. And I did them for many years. I also worked in a drug and alcohol rehab center doing yoga, meditation, and sound healing there as well. And I'm on a path of healing myself, and which I think we all are here in some way. We're here to heal. And so I think everything, is a vibration and a frequency. I learned that a lot through sound. And I just found that teaching yoga is such a beautiful way to heal, like creating a space for students to come in, to sit in their own seat, to be with themselves. And Kundalini Yoga, I believe, is such a beautiful practice for healing because the Kriyas, um, and a Kriya is a set of exercises that are put together systematically and scientifically to create a certain outcome. And there's thousands of Kriyas. And between the movements, mantras, and the breath and beautiful music, it just creates an energy for people to have an experience of a healing. And they don't even need to tell their story or know what's happening, but it's just happening from within. And I think there's a time and place for sharing your stories. But I think if we continue to share our story over and over again, that's not going to help us heal. There is a place for seeing, being heard, and voicing your feelings and thoughts. But I believe that we need to take action to heal in some
So,
ways. Yeah.
yeah, that's very interesting. So what brought you from Hatha yoga to Kundalini yoga? Because I
Mhm.
started also with Hatha yoga, but then when I found Kundalini yoga, it was
Mhm.
such an amazing, I have to say, like a euphoric experience, and every
Yeah.
class is different. And I think part of that for me was because there's so much focus on breathing as you do the different exercises, and especially because you have your eyes closed. So it's all about going within. And I remember when I started doing Kundalini yoga, I was going through a divorce, And I think for the first year, every time I came to a Kundalini class, I would sob and sob and
Mm,
sob. So it was amazing because that's like a way of just letting everything out, as you
it
said. So
is.
for
Yeah.
me, yeah, it's a very profound healing experience. And as you said, you never get bored because every class is different because there's so many different, series to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what brought you?
similarly, I had studied Iyengar yoga and Anya yoga, so definitely alignment based yoga. That was my past, and I had been very immersed in those practices on a regular basis, whether studying with teachers, practicing with other teachers, teaching, practicing on my own. And then a friend, a co-teacher, a friend asked me if I wanted to go up to Kripalu and do a weekend with Gurmukh. And I had never done Kundalini yoga. And I said, I agreed and I went, and I had the same experience. Like, it blew me away, and I cried and sobbed, and it was just, I felt just broken open, from that weekend. And, getting up, doing sadhanas every morning at 4 o'clock, and, going all day and just being immersed in it. I was just like, wow, I never experienced anything like this. Not to say, I think my background in Anusarana Iyengar was very useful for me, learning proper alignment and having those teachings. And that's what I needed. And I continue to teach that style. And then when my daughter went off to college, which was probably a few years after that, it wasn't right away that I had the opportunity that I felt to do the Kundalini yoga training. But when she went away, I was like, wow, this is time for me. I want to do a training. I want to immerse myself in something. And I did the Kundalini yoga training, which was almost a year-long training.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. It definitely did. I think the part about it that really drew me to doing the training with Kundalini yoga was, I mean, I really feel that yoga saved my life in general, when 25, 30 years ago, when it probably began, but it just definitely put me on a different course. But I still felt like I didn't always know how to take care of myself in a nurturing, loving way. I mean, even with the practices, they were very headstands for 7 minutes, and and they didn't talk about in yoga literally, like, how do we nurture ourselves, how do we brush your hair or wash your feet. I mean, these are things that are part of, actually, we're taught in Kundalini yoga, just on a day-to-day basis, on how to live life in a nurturing, loving way towards myself. And I didn't grow up with that. So that kind of intrigued me, like why I wanted to immerse myself in it more. And really, and I took that year to, when I did the Kundalini yoga training, to really let all of the practices come into my life. And some I kept, and some I didn't, and some I go back and forth with. But since then, after even completing Kundalini yoga training, it came to me about face yoga, which is a whole nother yoga that I practice on a regular basis. And it's, it is about the face, but it's also a very mindful practice about how our thoughts and emotions affect the faces that we wear. So I feel like yoga it is mind, body, and soul. It is a yoking together, and it's a practice of mindfulness and awareness. And really, we don't want to leave anything out. So, and especially, I think that in today's world, it could be for men, but specifically talking to women, that it's so easy to get caught up or distracted in some type of activity or something that's harming to ourselves, and we don't go in intentionally to harm ourselves, but we do. And I think that, really, just trying to bring more mindfulness into every practice, into everything that we do, is a way of living a yogic life.
Right. Interesting that you brought up mindfulness because there are people now, they have courses on mindfulness alone.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
I don't really know a great deal about that, but yeah, it's interesting because like Kundalini yoga brings in so many different facets that
Mm.
is
Mhm.
all about how you can purify yourself, your soul,
Yes.
spirit. And like I mentioned, the whole focus with Kundalini yoga is that everything we do is focus inward, your eyes closed. You're not looking at other people, what they're doing, and there is no competition. You start wherever you can. If you're not that flexible, it's okay. The more you do, the more flexible you become. So there's no judgment also, uh,
Right.
you know, in
It's so true. Very true that how you shared that, because I remember in my, not that the teachers encourage competition, but just coming from New Jersey. I mean, you grow up in a competitive frame of mind, and in the classes, if yeah, you would look at other people and it would become kind of like, oh, I want to be able to do that. And, not that it's a competition, but it's more about what you're doing on the outer, like you said. And then with Kundalini yoga, your eyes are closed. It's all about going within and being with yourself.
right.
And yeah, I do love the practice. And I think more and more we need this, yeah, as life gets busier and faster, and there's more distractions to pull us in all different directions, that we need to go within.
Well, I think especially now because there's so many changes on Earth, with all of us human beings, it's really, really important to focus within. And the other thing, I forgot, but I was gonna mention with Kundalini yoga. Yeah. So the other thing is also that it's different from other yogas because you have many different meditations that come into practice, you know, in different kriyas,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're like breath work or whether there's just meditations with different mantras. And so it's just a world of you know, knowledge and information, just like practices of when you meditate, saying certain mantras, because like the tongue touches the roof of the mouth and it connects to your pineal gland, that helps to open it. So it is fascinating. And that's why I feel, I mean, as you know, I have a spa and I work with a lot of people. So I recommend to certain people, we all attract what we are exuding. And I get a lot of people that come to me that have questions, that want to find themselves, that have decided, they want to go a different path or become more spiritual, or their cognition or intuition has sort of become more illuminated and they want to find out more. So to a lot of those people, I always suggest, you should start doing Kundalini yoga. And, some people say, oh, I'm like, go, 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 and I can't. And I'm that kind of a person. I'm go, go, go. And normal meditation doesn't work for me. But the meditations that we do because of the mantra and everything, that really like works to center and calm oneself. So yeah, it's very, very
Well,
powerful.
I'm so pleased that you're getting so much out of our practices and classes, and that you're a regular student. It's so nice to have you there, and that you recommend it. And I guess when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Exactly.
Here
Always.
for people. But
Always.
it's true. It's definitely not your mainstream yoga. And when I was teaching Hatha yoga and Kundalini yoga, mostly the Hatha yoga classes are more usually attended. But I find that the Kundalini yoga students, even when I was teaching in New Jersey and here, the same thing. I feel like they're like you, like they come and they're in love with the practice, they're so grateful to be there, present for themselves. They're so grateful for the class. And I just feel like they really bring their full presence on the mat, and they're there. And so that's rewarding to me, to see that, and to
Yeah.
see people really sitting with themselves, and they not distracted.
Well, I have to say, and this is not sort of what is the saying, putting watermelon under your arm, but I think the energy of the teacher is very important, and we all, kind of are sort of attracted to certain people. But the energy, you can feel that, the sincerity, the focus. But so that's very important. And for me, I have to do yoga, at least Kundalini yoga, at least 3 times a week. I mean, I go to the gym, depending on how busy I am, but I have to do that because that's the only thing that really centers me. So,
Mm.
because everyone tells me, "Oh, you're such a calm person," and I'm like, "You don't know what goes on inside," because my brain is like functioning 3,000 miles a minute. But yeah, so tell us a little bit more about your face yoga.
I'd be happy to. Well, that's
You
also
have
been
a
a journey.
website for your face yoga. How can people find you?
Well, basically, I am teaching a class this week in Sarasota at the Ritual Room, and it's going to be this Thursday evening from 6 to 7:30. Otherwise, I don't really know about classes. I mean, we'll see how things unfold. But I taught classes, like I shared with you. I kind of got the message even before I got certified in Kundalini yoga about face yoga. One day I came home from a long day of teaching yoga, private clients, and I looked in the mirror, and this was 20 years ago, and I was like, wow, I saw my face. To me, it looked exhausted. I saw my story on my face, and it wasn't a great story. It wasn't one I wanted to wear. At the time, I was a single mother too, which that was fine. But the story with the husband, whatever, the whole whatever. And anyway, and I got like, I was in a meditation. I was like, you do yoga for your body. Why not do yoga for your face? So I started to dabble. And this time, we didn't really go on computers much. I didn't anyway. So I got a couple of books, but it was very foreign. I mean, exercising your face, I'm reading it, it just, and I tried, and I was so excited too. But the excitement that I got from wanting to learn this practice, when I shared it with people, I was not getting that same excitement back. So it was just like, what, you want to do what, So it kind of dissipated, and then but I did pick up a few exercises, and I did practice them, and it was, it was definitely planting a seed. And then once I completed the Kundalini yoga training, which was quite an immersion, I remember graduating from that and then getting into a meditation, and I got this message: what happened to face yoga? So that was probably about 15 or so years ago. And I started to research again. At this time, I was going a little bit online. I found this woman in England. Her name is Danielle Collins, and I was thinking about going to England to get certified in her practice. But then we were correspondents, and she said she was coming to New York City. She had never been to the United States. She's coming to New York, and if I wanted to do it privately with her, I could.
Oh,
So
that's
I was like, wow. I
yeah.
know. So I'm like, and it was a lot of money for me at the time, or a lot of money, period. But I'm like, you know what? I really feel strongly about this. I really felt back then, even though I wasn't old, it wasn't like I wanted to look younger, but I wanted to look de-stressed, and I just knew, I don't know, something about it. I just knew in my heart and in my being that this was really important. So I did it. I went into New York City, which is from New Jersey, and I did a weekend with her, and took the exam. And I was actually the first one to get certified in the United States under her. Now I'm sure she has many people that are certified. And then I started, since I spent the money, I started practicing it, and then I got myself ready to teach it. And I did teach it in New Jersey and in Manhattan, the same sequence. It was a sequence that she taught. So I just taught that sequence for years, and I did that sequence for years. And I was doing it. Even I moved to Florida on the East Coast, and I was teaching it there. And then we had our lockdown, and everything stopped. And I decided I wanted to move to the West Coast of Florida. So at that time, I started. I don't know. Something happened where I just got a few private face yoga clients on Zoom, which we never had Zoom before either. And I really found that working with people on Zoom with face yoga is the best, because here we are, you're face to face, you can follow along, like you're right in my face, but I'm not right in you, like, we're face to face, but I'm like not in your face, and because it can be a little intimidating if somebody looks like, really in your face to see how you're doing the exercises. And I drew some clients that really had some special needs. One woman had a surgery, a tumor taken out of her brain on the left side, and there was a slight chance, but it happened to her that her left side of her face went into atrophy. So, and I still work with her. It's been 4 years. Every week we work, and it's, and obviously our students are our best teachers. And then I've got in clients that just got out of a divorce and their face looks beat up, they were with a narcissist, or, and just people that wanting to deal with emotional stuff. And so through the last 4 years, I've reworked that whole face yoga, because I no longer teach that series, because I realized that was good, but there's some of the exercises I personally wouldn't do anymore. So I kind of revamped it. And I also created quantum face healing, which is about taking a look at our emotions that we wear in present time, and also going back to our younger self. It came to me that we are an accumulation of all the faces that we've worn. Our face that we wear today is accumulation of all those faces, but we can go back in quantum time and heal those faces from the past.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And I've done it on myself, and I've done it with clients, and it's amazing. So what we do is, like, say if you're 8 years old and you're get bullied at school, we go back to that younger self, and we're there for her. And we have a talk with her. We see how she's feeling and what's going on with her, and really these parts of us just want to be seen and heard.
Well, these are like childhood traumas. So that's an
Yeah.
amazing way to work with them, because you're working, many facets of getting rid of that trauma.
And with getting results in one session. So we go back and we have conversations with our younger self. And then, we ask how she's feeling, what's going on with her. And then I get this story, and I lead a tapping session, emotional freedom technique, through the tapping. And so that I lead it, and then the person does it for her younger self. So she's tapping on her, and then we ask, all with her permission, and then we ask the younger self if she'd like to do a face yoga session. So looking at that face of terror or whatever's going on, fear, sadness, all these things, that we do a face yoga session, and we transform that face into a face of contentment. And it's really an amazing way to heal.
It's really interesting, because this is the first time I'm hearing all this, and for me it's like amazing, because you have kind of brought your background of therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also yoga, and then face yoga, and now that it's like you brought all these different experiences together and created something that's amazingly valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I created that in the last, Actually, I took a year. I moved to the West Coast and I took a year in a little cottage by myself. So if I have to social distance, I might as well be around people I don't know. So, because I really felt like this could be a time to go inward, you know, and I was on the East Coast of Florida, which is not easy to go inward there. And yeah, and I birthed that during that time, and I practiced it with clients, and then, you know, and then learning more about face yoga, learning more about, again, you know, with bringing face yoga, because before I taught face yoga and I practiced face yoga from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last years, I've learned how to practice from inside. And that makes the practice very different.
So it's
You know?
sort of inside and outside, you know.
Yeah, well, you know that you become aware of your face from inside,
Right.
working the muscles from inside the face instead of, you know, getting things to work on the outside. I mean, it is both, yes, but you know, it took years to have this awareness of how to
Right.
go inside my face and work my face from
It's
within.
it's actually very interesting also, like I mentioned, is like all the different practices that you've studied, like tapping is another science, all
Yeah.
itself. And I've taken courses in tapping. I mean, it's amazing. But one of the things that I wanted to mention, and you can tell me how you feel about it, I don't think that many people know how special Sarasota is, like how
Mhm.
what kind of it's actually considered to be one of the most positive um energy vortexes on Earth. I mean, there are many on Earth, but this is one of the most positive, and there's a lot that comes here. So I always actually with my clients, when they ask, and because it depending, sometimes we're talking and I said, well, I'm also an astrologer. And they said, oh, I really love that because I also studied numerology. So I asked them, when is your birthday? And I find that, they have something like a past life connection, or they have a number that states that they're an old soul with a spiritual mission. And I always say, well, it's very interesting because some people come here unconsciously, and some people come and it's just the energy that, enthralls them, and just
Mhm.
kind of how it just makes love to them, and, they just feel that they have to be here. So, yeah, I wanted to mention that. So, did you know that Sarasota was special, or did you just like
Uh,
psychically, intuitively, you were just drawn here?
well, what happened is when I said I left the East Coast in kind of in Delray Beach area, and I was living in a complex, and we were all you know, had the lockdown, and it was very chaotic, and I just felt like I really wanted to go someplace quiet. And I ended up going to Dunedin for a year. I rented a little cottage there, and it was, you know, very charming, and a quieter place than where I was coming from. But I was there for not even a full year, and my landlord said they wanted their cottage back. So I had to move again, and I really didn't want to go back to the East Coast, and I didn't really know where I was going to go. I didn't have a lot of time either. So I have a friend that's in Sarasota, and her husband happens to be a realtor. I mean, it was more like an acquaintance, but her husband's a realtor. So she said, well, why don't you come to Sarasota? And at that point, I was like, okay. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. So it really was I mean, and I have to say, I feel like so blessed, and I really lucked out, because I ended
There
up
are
on,
no accidents.
yeah, there are no accidents. Exactly. And I I bought a house, and I figured if I kept renting, I was just going to keep moving. Like that's just me. I in New Jersey, I owned my own home, and I didn't move for 20 years or over 20 years. And in Florida, I was renting, and I just kept moving. I just like I found reasons to leave, you know. And but when you own, it's not that easy to leave. So I and the rental market was difficult at that time, and I just took a chance and I bought a home, and I love it, and it's right down the street from the yoga studio, which I didn't even know I was gonna teach again in a yoga studio. Like that was not my intention.
Wow.
Um, and I'm centrally located, and I feel blessed to be here. I really do. I feel I'm so grateful to have landed here, and my plan is to stay here for a long time, So, but you have plans, but it takes a while to settle into a place, right? And I did. I mean, I didn't teach. I was here for 2 years before I started teaching again. I
Oh,
had, I had work to do in my home, and we were going through a lot of stuff in my family. I wasn't in a place to teach because we had a loss in my family, and
sorry.
yeah, that was a difficult time. But then, actually what happened was I went to New Jersey to visit, and I saw friends and I saw old students, and I was something about being in that energy. I came back here and I felt a little picked up, like, the vibe, like just the like, it woke up my like kind of like you can do whatever anyway. And I just said to Regina, who owns the studio, I said, you know what? If you need a sub, I figured, well, I'll sub. I mean, um, so that's not a big commitment to sub. And then a class opened up, and another class, and now I'm teaching 3 classes a week there. And it's a blessing. I'm so
Yeah, well,
grateful.
let's just give a little plug for Regina.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
Prana Yoga.
Prana Yoga Healing Center on
Mm-hmm.
uh I always mess up the name. Is it on Bay Street or
Osprey, right? Osprey.
Osprey? Osprey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
right by Siesta Drive. Um, yeah, talking about that, when I moved here from New York City, I kept on, looking to see where they teach Kundalini yoga, and I would go and take classes, and they would say, "Oh yeah, Kundalini yoga," but it was a mishmash of stuff, and
Mm.
it took me about 7 months to find prana yoga.
Yeah. So if you're looking for Kundalini Yoga in Sarasota or the surrounding areas, Prana is the place.
Yeah,
It's authentic. It's
Prana
authentic.
Healing Center.
Yes, Prana Healing
Abs-
Center. Yes.
So, can you, I don't know, maybe this is too much to ask, but can you show us one or two facial exercises and
No,
then
I don't
again
know.
give the address? And I think maybe since you don't have a website right now, we'll share an email so people know how to
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
contact
an
you.
email is a good way to contact me. And if somebody's interested in just asking questions or would like to experience a private session, I mean, after teaching in classes for so long, and there is benefit for, being in a class situation, but a private session of face yoga, I have found to be the most effective because you can feel more comfortable in sharing, and there's more time. It's all about you. What are your concerns? What are your issues? What are your goals? Because, it's not just about practicing the face yoga, it's about what you do with your face the rest of the day. So
Right.
it's really about training your face.
How do
And
we get rid of 11s?
okay, so we can work on that. As I always ask for requests, if you want to work on something, we can do it. We can do a exercise for that. Yeah. So and yeah, and my email is a good way to reach me. And yeah, so you want to do the 11s? Any other another?
Well, I've got lots of things that I would like to focus on. But first of all, share your email address slowly, and I will actually put it under the caption as well so people
Okay.
know.
It's Anya Maria, ANYAMARIA 1111 at gmail.com.
How interesting talking about 11s.
Yes. Well, those are my angel numbers, but
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, yeah.
So what would you recommend to get rid of 11s?
Okay, well, there's a couple of things going on here that like we need to address. So what happens is the reason we get those 11s is because we're going in, right? You're overusing these muscles here. So even if you take your hand over your eyebrows right here,
Hmm.
you might feel it raised and kind of bumpy in there,
Right.
those are overused muscles. So
So you
they're
have to
stress
relax
muscles.
those first.
And then the muscles in here are underused, so we need to build this area up and we need to release stress and tension here. I also like to think of this whole area from the temple to the temple as a beam. And we need to strengthen this whole area because this area, these muscles are underused. The forehead muscles are overused. The chin muscles are overused. And so we need to start to use the face differently. We need to work the eyes more, especially if we're just looking straight ahead. A lot of time we want to look up. We don't look up with our eyes. You look up and you scrunch your forehead.
Right.
So, working on shifting all of that. So just to understand, kind of an idea of what we need to do, but a simple exercise, pretty simple. The eye exercises are the most intricate exercises, and some of them it does take a little while to wake up these muscles. And basically, like I said, muscles of the face are either overused, which are stressed and tense, or underused and even could be sleeping. So
Right.
sleeping muscles, we need to wake them up, and that could take a few sessions. But I've never met somebody who wanted to wake up a sleeping muscle and can't. It just might take some time. So to begin with, we can well, first of all, let's just take our knuckle without any tools here. Sometimes I use gua sha or facial reflexology, but you can use your knuckles and you just start to like gently get into these overused muscles. And you might hear some clicking in here.
Mm-hmm.
So those muscles are, raised and tight and tense. We want to release the tension in there. So how do we build this area up? You can take your fingers at the arch of your eyebrow, you lift it up gently, and then draw the fingers isometrically away from each other. The eyes are closed, and then you think about the eyebrows drawing towards each other. So as the fingers draw the eyebrows away, you think it's a very slight movement, but I can feel my eyebrows drawing towards each other and lifting up as I relax my forehead muscle. And just breathing there. Forehead relaxed, between the eyebrows lifted. And basically it's isometrical movements here. And you can just hold that for 10, 15 counts and then release. And you can even just see, you do see the effects immediately
Right.
on some faces. Like I, open up this area, you do an exercise and people just see it just opens up.
Right.
Yeah.
I notice with me, and I'm not sure whether it's because of I usually sleep on my back, but I notice, and it's probably because I use my eyes, and I think also since my eyes, when I needed to wear glasses, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a really bad car accident that affected my eyesight for a while, so I had to go through therapy. Anyway, but I've noticed that, I use the muscles of my forehead and eyebrows more, if I want to focus and, I'm on the computer a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've noticed like one is higher than the other one. So it's
Mm-hmm. And you
like,
can work on that too through the practice. Absolutely. I mean, having the awareness is the first step, but then we can tailor different exercises to make more symmetry. Like I said,
right.
I'm working with a woman who has an atrophy in half of her face.
Yeah,
So part of it is trying to, get that face to wake up, that side. But then when she speaks, the whole other side of her face is doing double the work.
right,
So that side is overused. But when we're done with the session, her face looks much more symmetric than when we start. And over time, it's continuing. Like people constantly are telling her, "Your face looks better." So that's what she keeps doing it because she does and it is something that you have to keep up with. Let's face it.
yeah.
It's like exercising. If you stop exercising,
Absolutely, yes.
you know,
That's what I tell people when they come to get facials, because I do remodeling. So I work with a machine that, sort of
Sculpts.
exercises the muscles of the
Oh,
face, and
cool.
I can do a little bit, yeah, make changes. But I tell them, it's like going to the gym. You don't do it once. Yes, you do it once, you see the results for 5 days, but you have to basically build it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
that's
do.
the
It's
thing.
work.
With anything, you have to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, I
Doesn't
think that is something that, might people with face yoga. I mean, it's not like, it's an intricate thing to learn. It takes time, it takes awareness, it's a commitment. Um, so, they have to have the time and the space to really, really want to dedicate to it and to the practice. But once they get it, it's theirs. That's what I feel like. I'm not like this woman I continue to work with because she really, has these special needs, but I'm really into promoting people, teaching them how to do it so that they can do it on their own and make the practice their own. And I really support people in that.
right. So tell us again, can you share the name, the address, and the date that you're going to be doing your
Oh
class?
yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's at the Ritual Room, which is a really cool spot. It's in a historical building right by Sarasota Memorial Hospital, and it's this Thursday, which is what's the date? 20th, maybe? Is it the
Let me,
20th?
I'll tell you very
Yeah, I
quickly
don't have anything.
here. Thursday is the 20th, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
20th
Thursday
of
the
February.
20th at 6 o'clock to 7:30. And if you're interested, you could contact the Ritual Room.
And how
And
much are the
it's
tickets?
$33.
Okay. And what do you charge for one-on-ones?
I would charge $60 for a session, which is very reasonable. And
Very. And how long is it?
about an hour. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Fabulous.
yeah, yeah. And so, and if people wanted to do, a series, or they could just try one and see how if it aligns for them.
No,
And
that's fantastic. And
yeah,
just mention also with Kundalini yoga, we also have certain exercises that look really weird, but they're for your face. Like
yeah,
your
yeah.
head back with your tongue out and all that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kundalini yoga definitely. The breath work, breath of fire is so amazing for your face, for your skin. Breathing is
Digestion.
an amazing just breathing. Yeah,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
breath practice. So, yeah, there's so much out there. I mean, I find so much joy in these practices and sharing them, and just healthy ways to help enhance our well-being and that are non-harming and really just show your being that you love yourself and
Yeah.
you're caring for yourself in a loving way.
I would say Kundalini yoga is a form of therapy as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I feel that way too.
Well,
Yeah.
it was lovely chatting with you.
Oh, it was so
Uh,
lovely. Thank you so
yes,
much for having
and
me
I'm
on.
looking forward. I'm definitely coming on Thursday.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, absolutely. And again, just very quickly, share your email address, and then we will say goodbye. And hopefully, we will get a few people who would love to come and experience
I
your
would love
thing.
that. That would be wonderful because we need, people to have the class. And last time I did it there last month, and we had a couple of acupuncturists and an esthetician. So it was really good because it was people that had dabbled a little bit in face yoga, but they said they never, like their face never felt like it had when we finished. And that I can promise.
Well,
Like
the
we
one that you
do
mentioned with what was it called again? The quantum.
quantum face healing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, quantum face healing. Everybody wants to have a quantum face healing session with me. I would be happy to talk with them about that as well. It's
Yeah, so tell us
Anya
your
Maria. Yeah, you can contact me at Anya Maria 1111 at gmail.com.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you
Pleasure
so
chatting.
much.
I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Satnam.
Agasat now. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
My glasses.